to another segment of Straight from the Paws. Today I'm very excited to introduce you to our new manager at Forever Paws. This is Casey Fredette. Welcome, Casey.
Thank you, Gail.
It's great to have you here with us. And we also have some other guests that you've never met before. This is Pebbles, and that's her brother. And her brother's name is?
Peanut.
Peanut. I was going to call him Patrick for some reason. I'm sorry. Okay, so Peanut. I would call him Patrick. I know I am. And you know my co-host, Beverly. Hi, Bev.
Hi, it's good to be here again.
Thank you for coming, and thank you for bringing our two little friends here. We truly would like to get them adopted together, correct?
Yes, absolutely. They're 12 years old. They've been together for 12 years.
Oh, wow.
An incredibly long relationship by anyone's standard. And we would rather not split them up in any circumstance.
Okay. So if anyone is interested, you could just call 508-677-9154 or go to Forever Paws itself at 300 Linwood Street, or go on our website. And we would really appreciate it because, like Casey said, we really want to get these two young love birds together. I guess they're not really, but you know, they are cuddly together. They cannot be separated, so we really need to get them to be adopted. So if you can, help us out. Please contact the shelter as soon as possible. All right, so today we're going to talk a little bit with our new manager and let you know a little bit about his past experience and why we decided to hire Casey to the shelter. So first and foremost, I want to tell everyone that he comes with an extensive background. I know he looks rather young, but he does have a very extensive background in the animal world, in all different aspects of the animal world. So I'm going to talk a little bit today about what he's done in the past and where the future goes with Forever Paws and where Casey's going to take us. So Casey, first and foremost, you worked as an emergency preparedness operation deputy chief?
Correct.
What does that mean?
It means a lot of training, a lot of preparing for disasters, and when no disasters happen, a lot more training.
Wow, okay.
Are we talking about hurricanes, blizzards,
Exactly.
fire?
Yep. So for Massachusetts, as part of the laws that are on the books, as well as providing human shelters, towns and cities are required to provide shelters for the animals. So that's what we do, is we have the plan, we have the site, we train, go through national trainings in order to be up to the national standard in case there's a hurricane or any extended period of time in which people would have to be living in a shelter scenario. Their pets will also have a shelter to go to.
Well, that's very interesting. I know for us, being Forever Paws on Linwood Street, we've talked about trying to come up, we have a hurricane plan and so on and so forth, so we're going to have to let you take a look at that and see how many mistakes we've made. Luckily, so far, we've never really had to implement it, so that's a good thing. But you never know. I mean, you never know what's going to happen in the future, and I think that would be very beneficial to the shelter and for us, and you know, and for other areas as well, you know, to let us know what's going on. So that sounds like a very interesting role.
Well, we talked about these two dogs always being together, and as you can see, they want to be together. So I'm trying to keep Peanut on my lap, but he wants to be over there with Precious.
Well, okay, well, we'll just let him walk around. All right, so Casey, you've also worked as an assistant animal science, let me see, I gotta look this up, animal science educator and special assistant to the executive director at the New England Wildlife Center. Now that in itself, I don't usually have to read them, but I had to read that one. That's pretty long and extensive. What exactly did you do then?
The Wildlife Center, especially back then, before we had moved to the large building, was a very unique and interesting experience. It was a lot of fun. We did a lot of good. Everyone there wore a lot of hats. So I was in classrooms all over the greater Boston area, down the coast, a lot of charter schools, elementary and middle schools, and we would bring in exotic animals and we would teach the children about them on a base level. And then for the older children, we had a program called As Clear as Mud. So we would take these children from primarily city schools and we would bus them out to beaches. We would pull animals for samples that were available at the beach, and we would get blood samples from them. We would take them, stain them in the classroom with the kids, And then we would bring in a snake or a bearded dragon or a skink or whatever it was. We'd take their blood, stain that, put them up and compare them and have the children learn the process, how to draw the blood, learn about the animals along the way. And then the special assistant to the executive director meant that I was the executive director's organizer. I was supposed to keep him on task. Additionally, I did wildlife teching in our clinic, and just anything you could think of. Everyone cross-trained in that organization and got a lot of experience that way.
Wow, that sounds like a very interesting job. And I think also that, for Forever Paws, that we try to get out into the community as well, and we have charter schools and all that. So I'm always telling our viewers that, if you are a teacher or, nursery school educator, whatever, we do have programs that go out, and now we also have Casey that could probably go out and talk to the community schools and the students out there. So again, if you have any interest in that, you can just call the shelter and, we could work something out, because we like to give back to our community. That's one of the things about Forever Paws. We pay it forward with our resources that we have, and now we have, I think, personally, a great resource in Casey. All right, Bev, I know you're dying to ask Casey this question.
Well, one of my favorite things through my granddaughter is dolphins, and she loves Winter and Hope that are located in Clearwater. And it says on your resume that you have been a volunteer at dolphin strandings and working with that. Can you explain to our TV audience what that's all about?
Yes.
Especially in this area. I know we're fortunate enough to be close to Woods Hole and Mystic Aquarium and the Boston New England Aquarium.
Yes. So. And also there is IFAW, the International Fund for Animal Welfare, which is located on the Cape. And I believe they cover this general area for marine mammal strandings and dolphins. I've had more than average chances to work with dolphins. I've had them on the South Shore, in the rivers, on Nantasket Beach. And then I was able to participate in the mass strandings that we had a few years ago. In particular, 1 year, but I've done multiple, which was truly fascinating. We had hundreds of dolphins that stranded over the course of the winter. So what we would do is we would go out, we would go up and down the coast on Cape Cod, because Cape Cod inside the harbor is shallow compared to the ocean, and the way they echolocate, it obscures it. So they would come in looking for food, and then they'd get confused, and they'd go in circles, and they would get hungry and weak, and then they would beach. So we would go into the water or onto the shore, we would get them, health assessment would be done in the field. IFAW's equipment included essentially a full laboratory in one of the vehicles. And then once we made sure that the dolphin was healthy, we were able to truck them to the other side of Cape Cod and release them.
On the outer part of
Exactly.
the bend of what they call the arm?
Yep.
All right.
Back out into the true ocean, where they could then go and rejoin their herds.
Wow.
So we did that a lot. We had 1 year that was in the hundreds. And it was unfortunate because we did lose a lot of dolphins, but we also were able to save a huge number.
You're so fortunate to have been involved in all of that.
Yeah, it's one of those things that as you do it, it's a little surreal, because you're standing in the water with a 6 foot long, couple 100-pound animal that you've seen your entire life from Flipper on up.
Oh, wow, yeah, I remember Flipper.
So that's definitely been a high point for me personally, is to be able to help dolphins.
Now, you've also been to Clearwater Marine Aquarium, where those two famous dolphins are, Winter and Hope.
I've been to many aquariums. And I've seen those dolphins. I've also been to the National Aquarium and had the chance to interact with their dolphins. I've had the chance to interact with some of the dolphins at SeaWorld Orlando. So I've definitely gotten my fair share of dolphins, wild and otherwise.
Amazing. Good stories we have here with Casey.
We do. And
We're having a little issue
know,
here
well,
with
he's got
Peanut.
his- he's
Peanut
so-
wants to be over there.
I know, but he has his doesn't have his good side towards
Yeah,
the
he's showing his wrong
audience.
side.
Why don't we
So,
just turn Peanut around?
There you go,
All
Peanut.
right.
That's
Good
a little
boy.
bit better.
Yes.
Pebbles
And
is
he
behaving.
wants a little
Yeah.
bit of attention because, like I said, don't forget, folks, this is a paired set.
bonded
I think,
pair.
Bonded pair. I don't know if they're brother and sister, but they have been bonded for
I
12
think
years.
more like husband and wife.
I think so too, because he looks like he's a little jealous there. But we just want to make sure that we get them adopted. So he wants people to remind him that he's still here, even though he's not barking or speaking up or anything. So you can see that they are very well-adjusted dogs.
We have to be together.
All right, so we're going to move on. And Casey, again, is all of us in the animal world. We do a lot of volunteering. And Casey has also volunteered at the New England Aquarium Marine Mammal and Sea Turtle Rescue and Rehab. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So that is something that I have been lucky enough to participate in for 10 plus years, around 12 years. The New England Aquarium has a marine mammal and sea turtle rescue and rehab facility and team in Quincy. It's an off-site location because the animals that go there are sick or unwell. They're in need of treatment. So it's best for all of the animals to keep the sick animals isolated from the healthy population. I began there working primarily in the field with seals, and then was able to go in-house and work inside with the sea turtles. I was able to work in the field with the sea turtles, and then some of the dolphins that I have worked with have been through the aquarium as well. It's a fantastic organization. The department is run primarily with the help of volunteers. Like as you said, volunteers are extremely important in the nonprofit world. And I've been able to be hands-on with green sea turtles, Kemp's Ridleys, leatherback, loggerheads. It's basically a childhood dream come true.
Wow. So it has been something that you've been interested in as a child?
Yes.
Animals.
In 6th grade, I put I wanted to be a marine biologist in my aspirations in my yearbook.
Okay, that's interesting. As you know, I think everyone has, well, somewhere along the line, someone always wants to be, doing something with animals. But when you can actually go on and do that, I think that's really wonderful. And you've done a lot in your time volunteering and working with them. And so let's talk about now you joining Forever Paws Animal Shelter. What made you change in the field and sort of want to work with dogs, cats, birds, ferrets, rabbits?
Lots of rabbits.
Lots of rabbits.
Lots of rabbits. Like everyone, as a child, I wanted to work with animals. No big surprise there. Poll 10 people, 9 of them will say they wanted to work with animals. I didn't intend to do it. I was a giant history nerd. I will admit to being the biology club president in high school. Come here. And when I initially went on to college, just after high school, I worked at a pizza place. I delivered pizzas. And one day while I was working, delivering pizzas, I saw, I'm going to date myself here, I saw in the back of the newspaper, in the classified section, a picture of a dog, and it was for kennel help. So I went and joined this veterinary hospital, started off in the kennel, and was able to expand into other areas of the building, including surgery and reception, got to know the field, got to get an idea of the world that is animal care. From there, I just continued on. I was able to do animal control, which was actually very exciting, a lot of wildlife. My time at the Wildlife Center, I have been fortunate enough to care for orphan skunks, orphan squirrels, orphan raccoons, I've dealt with deer, coyote. The highlight of my life up until this point is a leatherback sea turtle that had stranded, and it was one of the only leatherback sea turtles to ever be rehabilitated and returned to the wild successfully. And if you're unfamiliar with them, they're roughly the size of this desk, about 6 or 7 feet long, and they range from 600 to 1,000 pounds. They are prehistoric, majestic creatures. So the animal world is something I've been lucky enough to get into and make a career of. Cats and dogs are obviously high on people's radar, and being able to help and do something is important to me. And I feel like, at least in the animal shelter world, I'm able to help and facilitate helping animals, whether it's a cat or a dog or one of the many rabbits we have at Forever Paws. I'm able to actually help them and do something, as opposed to just doing the same thing every day and never really having any change or effect on anything.
All right, so I know from my experience just work with you, it's only been a few weeks. And so what's one of the challenges you've seen working in Massachusetts in a shelter environment, city environment, a little different from where you've been in the past? What challenges have you met at our shelter?
Well, any shelter, a huge challenge is obviously sick animals. It doesn't matter if you're operating on some enormous budget or a shoestring budget. You're always going to face sick animals, and that is a huge issue, and it's something that I take very personally and is a source of pride, trying to keep the animals healthy. So that, just like anywhere, you keep at it, you try and stay ahead of it, you do your best that you can. The staff that we have is very focused on the health of the animals and keeping them healthy and helping them when they're sick and trying to keep them from becoming sick. And then additionally, it happens a lot in the animal world. The concept of working in collaboration with other agencies, it takes a lot of trust from your agency and the other agency, and it gets built. And at least in the New England area, it's something that is doable, but is something that has to be worked at. And it's something that we have been able to work at even just in the time I have been at the shelter so far. So those are both areas that are very important to me that I'd like to continue on.
I think since Casey's joined us, I think you've expanded and reached out to other organizations, which is a good thing. We had been membership in some organizations, and you sort of lose your perspective on that, and you've sort of reined us back in as an organization and trying to do that. And I think that's great. We, at Forever Paws, we're there for all the animals, and what we tell people that come in is that we don't know the history of this animal. We'd like to know that. We'd like to know where these 12 little guys, 12-year-olds, they've come together. We know that, but we know Forever Paws, as we've said many times, is a no-kill shelter. So small animals like this, are these surrenders, or are they were they just strays?
They were strays.
They were strays.
Yes.
Okay, so they're approximately 12 years old, stray. How do we know that they're 12?
I believe it's the best estimate
Okay.
from looking at the teeth.
Okay. All right.
Which they are in very good health, generally speaking. As best we can tell, they've been looked at by veterinarians, and we look at the teeth and we get an estimate from there. They're very active, as you can see from this one bouncing around in my lap. They don't act 12, and I would say they should have a good number of years ahead of them.
Well, that's good to hear, because I think if anyone in the audience is really interested in adopting, then I guess the brother decided to take a little nap.
He's sleeping on the floor.
He's sleeping, is he? Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's okay. He deserves a nap. But I think that, one of the things that we are looking forward to is, expanding and moving out and moving in other directions and helping other organizations, as you say, as well. And we had one of the advocates from the district attorney's office come in and work with us and talk to us, and we are willing to help people. You talk about shelter, that need help for animals, that they don't have the assistance that they need. So Forever Paws is trying to expand in many areas to help the community, and that's really, really an important thing. You've come on at a very interesting year because 2016 happens to be our 20th anniversary. And we're really excited about that. We are going to be sharing some information with that with our audience in the near future, but we think probably in July, Bev, correct?
I believe the date that we've chosen is July 17th. It's a Sunday afternoon, probably from about 12 to 3. And we're hoping to have a few demonstrations of police dogs. We're thinking of asking Animal Instincts to bring the reptiles to the event. And we know Marla from New Bedford with her hawks would be interested in coming. Also, we'll have some food and face painting. And today, we just contacted the Forever Children's Museum through one of their committee members to see if they would be able to participate in our event that day also. So we're hoping it's going to be a good event.
Bev would have liked to got a swimming pool so we could bring a dolphin or a turtle in
Yes,
for
I thought
you,
that would
but
be great.
I told her I didn't think we could really afford that or get one in on time. So that's going to have to be held back for now. But
For now.
For now. But you never know what the next 5 years will bring in. So on. So what is some of your goals for the shelter? I'm scared that I asked this on public TV
Go right
here,
for the
but,
public.
Yeah, but go ahead. What
Call
are
it
some of your
out right
goals?
there. For me, I would like to work at decreasing the time the animals are in the shelter. Yes. You said we're a no-kill shelter, so we'll keep animals as long as we need to, as long as it's good for them, their health. We try to be a positive place, like a sanctuary for the animals where they can come and wait, hopefully for their final home. And the time that they spend with us, we do the best that we can to make it as positive. The volunteers and the staff and everyone that comes in showers the animals with love, but it's not a true substitute for the stability and comfort that comes along with a home and owners. And it should be just a transition period for them. So the animals that have been with us longer, visit our Facebook page, Forever Paws Animal Shelter. The animals that have been with us for a long time, we're trying to put a new push on to get them out there and draw attention to them. Because what happens is people come in, and people will come in frequently. We'll have the same people visit us on a weekly basis or a semi-regular basis. They see the same animals over and over again, and they become part of the wallpaper of the shelter, which isn't anyone's fault. They're just there. They become used to seeing them, and they don't notice them or realize that they're there. So the hope is through social media and the newspapers that we can push some of these animals out there so that they're fresh in people's minds, draw attention to their story. For instance, on our Facebook page today is Gardenia, who is a senior cat at 8 years old, full of life. And she had a great home, and unfortunately her owner passed. And so her life has been flipped upside down. And she's in a shelter herself at 8 years old, and she has plenty of life left in her, tons of life left in her, but she's just sitting. So we're hoping through Facebook and the newspaper, like I said, that we can get her story out there, and really some of the animals that unfortunately sit, we can get a move on them and draw some new attention to them.
I appreciate that. And let's talk a little bit about Vera. We haven't got her out there, our special needs cat. We have a lot of, well, I don't know, public, right now in the public, but right now we have Vera who's out there, and we haven't really publicized her a lot because she has some very unique illness, right?
Yes. Vera is a unique case. She's been at the shelter for a lot longer than is fair to an animal that to have to live in such a transition place, and she doesn't have control over her bladder. And so for a house cat, it makes her a daunting prospect, because no one wants a cat that isn't going to have control of their eliminations all over their house. So Vera is in need of a special, very, very special family, and admittedly a special situation where someone has the space that her lack of control won't be an issue. Ideally, it might be a closed-in barn for Vera where she's not exposed to the elements, she's not exposed to predators, but that she's able to have her accidents washed away.
Mm-hmm. Well, I wanted to mention Vera because I know that we've talked about Vera, and I know some of our volunteers are very attached to Vera, but no one thus far has been able to come up and say, I'll take Vera home and help Vera. So if, you know, putting that plug out for Vera is very important to me today. And I think one of the other things that we'd like to share too is that we recently, we had a trainer at the shelter and no longer have a trainer. And we could talk a little bit about that and ask what our needs are, and maybe someone out there would help us out.
Yes, we absolutely are in desperate need of preferably a certified trainer that can come in on a volunteer basis in an ideal world and work with our dogs. Again, as a no-kill shelter, we don't place time limits on how long we have an animal. They don't reach an expiration on time, and as such, they get bored. And when they get bored, they show poorly to potential adopters. And trainers are essential in the animal sheltering world to helping exercise the dogs, exercise their minds, keep them active, and make them the best dog that they can to find the best home that they can. So it's something that we are in desperate need of, and we would be open to meeting with any trainers that were willing to offer up their services, willing to offer up even a little bit of their time to come in and work with our dogs.
Right, because we do have a system that we sort of have implemented at the shelter. We've had different trainers come in and they do different, you know, types of training, and we are aware of that. But if someone could just come in, and the staff knows because they've worked with a lot of the trainers that we've had that have volunteered in the past. We've had people from, you know, Petco and, you know, different places, and so that's fine, but we need someone to come in and sort of, you know, just help the animals that are currently there and have them be able to be shown. I mean, our manager knows a lot of the skills, but like you said, he's not a certified trainer, and he's got his other job to do, which is managing the shelter and the staff and volunteers and so on. So I think that would be very helpful if someone could come out and help us at the shelter. You know, just give a call at the shelter, again, 508-677-9154, or go on the website, send an email to Casey Fredette. I'm sure Casey would be more than happy to meet with people. We're open every day except Wednesdays, 11 to 4, but a trainer could come in at different times, you know, during the day, not necessarily at night, but we would appreciate any help that someone could offer us.
Yes, absolutely. I've worked with animals professionally my entire adult life, and I have 3 kids, as you know. I have Haley, Rose, Leo, and Darwin, all younger kids, and my wife, and we went to a trainer. In spite of everything I know, trainers do a very specific job and are very pivotal to helping our Great Dane and any dog be the best dog that it can be.
I agree, and I know, Bev, you have a dog, and you have had your dog trained as well.
I've had her here on this very table, and she sat there the whole time, and I can see that Precious over here, Peanut,
Pebbles.
no,
That's Pebbles.
Pebbles is doing very well, relaxed, and I know the camera can't see this, but Peanut is sound asleep with all 4 legs splayed underneath this desk, and so I'm not going to disturb him to say goodbye to everybody.
All right.
But he's so cute.
Well, I want to thank you both. Casey, thank you for coming today. Appreciate it. And Bev, thank you for being here with me again and helping out with the 2 dogs. And hopefully anyone out there in our audience that's willing to adopt 2 little package here, 2 guys together, we'd greatly appreciate it. And any trainers out there, please give us a call. And again, remember, give the love to your family and your animals because they are part of your family. Thank you.